All right, so Ryan here. We're gonna do the next step here. So basically, we have our high poly and we have our low poly, right? So basically, with this, we have two parts, and we're actually going to be eventually getting these to kind of be one here. So you want to be able to have the high poly be the one that has the denser and high poly information, right? So it's got more detail into it than the low poly, which is more performant for the game engine, right? But we need to make sure that the low poly fits our silhouette. And in this example, well, it's actually pretty straightforward because of how we modeled it. We don't have to do a low poly from scratch because we kind of already did that when we did the blockout stage, because the blockout kind of became our low poly. But let's say it's like a different example altogether, right? And like this is our high poly. We can still go in and go to like mesh and like make a new low poly for it. Or if we need to do a retopologize on our model from say like a sculpting program like ZBrush or something, that is also another workflow. Same thing with like doing like characters as well. Because like characters is another thing that can need a retopologize off of a high poly sculpt. So that is a different thing, but we're not necessarily going to do that today. So what we're actually going to do is we're actually going to take the model which we already made. So with this, we're going to go and do a little bit of cleanup and then get into UV unwrapping. So with this, we're going to be doing a few different stages, but we're going to basically break this up into the different parts, right? And we have a few different things here, and we basically want to make sure that all of the parts are kind of like together, as well as any kind of like modifiers. Like for this one, we use the screw modifier to be able to get the lathe on this. So we're actually going to be applying these. And because we actually have 4 examples of this leg, we only have to really do one and then duplicate that around 4 times. So it's not as bad as you think. So I'm actually going to break this up into a few different things here. So I'm actually going to go in and kind of like just get rid of a bunch of these so that we are working with a few less things, so it's a little less intimidating. So let me just go in and work with this for right now. So again, right now it is basically done because it is matching our high poly silhouette, right? So if I go into wireframe, I can see that it actually does envelop like the entirety of the high poly. So that's basically where we kind of need it to be for this part in particular. So at this stage, I can go in and start to UV unwrap this piece. So I'm going to go in and I can do a few different things to this. But if I will probably want to go into this UV editing tab. And this has like the 2 different screens. It's a split screen between the 3D view and the 2D view, right? And so I'm basically think of a chocolate, a chocolate that's covered in tinfoil, and you're having to unwrap the uh, the the chocolate, which is our 3D model, right? And then you're taking the tinfoil off of it and putting it into a flat object. That is essentially what we are doing with UV unwrapping. It's definitely a little confusing at first. However, it's something that it isn't. It's easier the more that you do it. So what we're going to be doing is Blender has actually gotten a lot better over the years to be able to UV unwrap assets faster. So what we can do is we can actually go into our edit mode under modeling, and then have the edges that we want to be able to mark as seam. So if I go into here and go into UV, mark as seam, and now this has a orange/red line here that we can have to be able to mark as our seam, so that when it unwraps, it actually will mark along that. So if we go in and take this piece here, so right now this is marked into 3 separate pieces. We have this piece, we have this middle piece, and this bottom piece. The problem is that if I go and say take this piece and if I go and like to go to faces and select all like that and then try to unwrap, we get like some weird things that happen. So we get some parts that we want and some parts that we don't want. So with this, like this piece here is all right. This one is looking a little weird, and then this one is not right because it needs to be straight. So with hard surface objects, we'd like to be able to have them as either like circles, like rectangular shapes, and we want them to be in parallel with each other. And depending upon how you actually unwrap it, it can be very easy for the algorithm to actually get the precise directions and stuff. And we can actually make that a little easier if we make a few extra cuts. So if I go and mark seam again here, this adds an end to this loop. So if I go in and like mark this here, you'll see 1, 2, 3, and then 4, right? So this actually adds a cut at the end to give a endpoint, right? So it knows what is the end and what is the beginning of this asset. And so if I go again and unwrap, you'll see that it actually helps to be able to unwrap better. Now the thing is that we are having a little bit of oddness with the used UV space versus the unused UV space. So you'll see here that this area here is the used UV space, and then all of this here that's empty, that is unused. And so with this texture, it's not going to be quite as good. So we actually want to have a additional cut, which is going to be on the other side, which is going to be here. So let me make sure that I get that right. So, oops, come on. All right, so this is our cut here, right? We actually want to have this on the opposite side. So it's going to be cutting the asset in half. So if I mark seam there, and then mark everything, and then that's going to be a little better. So you'll also see that there we go. This is like not quite straight. So we could actually go in and try to make this a little better. So we could do this by going into the vertex mode and kind of just moving this down a little bit to make it straight. So you'll see that if we kind of have them be like straight, it actually will help in several ways. It will actually help to be able to negate anti-aliasing, as well as have better packing with our objects as well. So with this, this is basically just one part, right? We need to do this for the entirety of it. So I'll just go in and do a quick UV unwrap again, so that it's like so. Okay, all right, and then I also want to do nope, it's actually in here. So one thing that's a little weird is that you have this UV, which is in the 3D viewport, and then we also have a UV that is in the 2D viewport. And so there are different properties that are in both of these. So look back and forth between these two because they're going to give you different options. Some are the same, right? So this is where our mark seam is, right? But it's in the 2D view versus the 3D view. So with this, I actually want to go in and pack UV island to be able to take these UV islands. Again, this is a entire UV island, right? This is an entire UV island. I want to take all of these and pack them into the 0 to 1 space. So if you think about your like high school, middle school geometry class, right? You had a section in a grid that is on the 2D plane that has x and a y coordinate. This is where like a lot of that geometry stuff comes in handy, right? But this is the origin in the 2D space. It is at 0, 0. And so if we go 1 unit to the left and 1 unit up, we get the 1, 1. So this is at the UV coordinate 1, 1, and this is at the UV coordinate 0, 0. So everything has to fit within this UV coordinate. So if I go in and pack my UVs to be a little bit less dense, it will help a little bit. Like this is like having it where it's like right up next to each other. We want to get a little bit more gutter space between the assets. This is something that like we'll be getting to in a little bit later, but I just want to do it on principle here. So let's do a 1. Just to, yeah. So this is probably too much, but this is still good enough for what we need currently. Just to show you generally what I'm kind of going for, to have a little bit of breathing space between the actual UV islands. So with this, we're going to go back to our modeling tab, and now this one is our top for that, and this will be now done. So I'm going to go in and do a few more of these, basically taking the same principle, because a lot of these are going to be general boxes. Until we get to the actual cylinders, which we have a different method to be able to work on cylinders. So let's go ahead and like work on like a few other pieces. So I'm going to name some of these because naming is always good. So let's do this as middle, do this as drawer, do this as bottom, and then we'll do, I'm just going to delete some of these, because we only really need one part to be able to work with. And I'll just do this as side trim. Okay. And I'll delete that. This one's done. Okay. All right. So let's work with this piece. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and open it up, and let's go into our object mode, and then go into editing, and we're going to mark a few things. So we'll probably be doing the top piece first. So let's do that. Mark seam, and then we'll do a few more. Like so. Alright, and then that'll be around the back there. We'll probably want to do 1, 2, 3. And maybe 1, 2. Yeah, let's do that. Mark seam. And then this long. So, mark seam, and do a little bit more here. Alright, then we'll do another one on the inside of this, because we did model the inside. And then we'll do the back, like so. And then we need one more on this inside piece. So there. So it's basically like the same loop problem that we had. So like this is like that same loop, right? And so we need an end for where it's actually going to make the cut on the UV. So with this, I like to put mine on like the top where the player would not actually see the UV scene. So that's like one of the things that like is always challenging, is to try to find a section where the player would not be able to see the scene. Okay, so this is pretty good. Most of it is alright. The only one that's a little weird is this one. That and this one a little bit could be a little better, but we'll work on this one for right now. Let's figure out what this is. Okay, so this is actually because like we have like the front, because this is the front piece, right? This piece is this here, right? So we need to actually probably do this where it's broken up individually. Although it might actually be good to actually do this, do it across like that, I guess, and then do mark seam, and then yeah, that's a little better. Yeah, this could be a little bit better, but that's okay, because ideally, again, like these need to be like straight. So there's like a few different things that we could do to be able to make these more straight. You could go in and like manually try to like move these around and then have them conform like this, which like that can work if it's like quick and straightforward. You could also go in and try to align by certain values. So if I go and like align on like different axes, I can try to also get this to like align to be straight as well. So that's like a general like way on that. However, this is also a little bit more painstaking. So like I like to be able to have it where it's actually a little easier. So I will go and do it where, oops, go back. It'll do the horizontal and vertical. These are probably like the easiest ways to be able to quickly get these to align. So doing that just to be able to get most of them in the general direction that we kind of want. You don't have to do this. It is better to be able to have them like more aligned. But for the exercise, like I'm just trying to get through like the asset quickly, so I'm kind of just brushing over a little bit of this. It's okay if it's not packed right now, because we're actually going to be combining a lot of pieces together and then packing everything at the end. So for now, this piece is now done. So I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to save, and I'm going to do another piece. So continuing, I'll do this piece here. All right, same kind of deal. It's the same like box method. So I'm gonna do that there. Mark seam. Yeah, that actually goes back in like that. Okay. All right. Mark seam. So you can do it where like instead of doing like individually like this, because like I'm holding down left click and shift, right, for this to be able to mark them individually. But let's say if I go like this, right, this actually doesn't get them in a line. what I can do is I can hold down Control and then click, and it'll do several at a time like that. It'll interpolate between them. So I'll go ahead and mark scene there, and then do the same thing here. So I'm going to left click, hold down Shift, and then left click there, and it does all of those in one fell swoop, like that. Mark scene. Okay, do the same thing here. Control and do that. Mark scene. Then select all, and then UV unwrap, and now that's basically done. Okay, next piece. Now, reminder that this piece here is basically the same as one of the other pieces, so we're actually going to figure out which one it is. Okay, I did not actually do that. Okay, so this one is UV unwrap, so I'm actually going to copy and paste and move that one over here, and then put that there, and then I'm going to rotate it 90, and then move that generally into place. And then I will reference my high poly to make sure that I'm in the exact location where it is, so it's about there. And then I'll turn that back off. And now that piece is done. So let me get the drawer, and I'll do that piece. Make sure that your new piece is in the same group folder. Okay. So going on to this piece. So doing the same thing with the front. So we'll do the same box method here. Mark scene, and do same box here, and then I'm going to mark seam. Okay, and then do another one along here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Face. Mark seam to the top. There we go. Do the bottom. Mark seam. Okay, then we can do the inner part like this. And then we'll do this bottom like that. Mark seam, and then we'll do, say, that one. Mark seam, then we'll go and UV unwrap, and that's basically all the parts. The only part that's a little weird is this one, and do our same alignment, horizontal. Okay. And that's good. That's basically all we need for that. Okay, this piece is done. Okay, save our project. Alright, this is the little cylinder for the front. I'll actually wait on that one. I just want to get rid of all the box ones first, since we know how to unwrap boxes now. We got the bottom one, right? Did we get this one? No, we did not get this one. Okay, so let's get that. Okay, UV mark seam. Go around. Do all that. Mark seam. Okay, it's the same principle. That. UV unwrap. Okay. And this also goes into the same problem that we had before. Okay, so that's basically good enough for these. You could make them a little better by aligning them if you wanted to take the time to make them perfect. Okay. All right. So that's all of them except for these two. So let's do 1 and 2, and then turn the rest of these off for right now. Okay. So these ones are boxes, but would they have like a little bit of the bend on the bottom, which is not that different. So again, keep them like similar principle to a box. So we're going to go in and I'm going to go like around, so like this. So I am using the control button to be able to quickly get around and select a ring around this section here. And then do our UV mark seam. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. So I'm going to go from here and use the control to be able to mark around, like so, until it is complete, like that, and then mark seam. Okay. Now, I want to also reference where the seam is on this. So this is the part where we kind of get into a little bit of a cylinder. So cylinders are kind of interesting because you want to be able to have a top, a bottom, and then this middle section. So we want to actually have a seam down one side of it, and I want to make it on the inside, where the player's not really going to notice it. So this is on the inside, right? So I'm going to mark the seam going up here, like that, and then mark seam like that, and then I'll turn it back on, and you cannot see that seam unless you're like way under here, right? So the player's not going to be seeing that too often, so that's going to be good enough for me. Okay, and then I'm going to select all and UV unwrap, and then check it, and yep, this looks perfect. So I'll go ahead and do that same kind of principle, but on this bottom section. So again, it is basically a box, so it's not too different from what we've been doing. So. Okay. Mark seam, and do the same. Okay. Mark seam, and then the same principle that we had. So get the inside, so it's going to be here. I'm going to turn that back off, and make sure this is section there. Mark seam, select all, UV unwrap. So that's now done. Okay. So now that's basically all of the pieces that are boxes, essentially. So now I'm going to Control S to save everything. Make sure I'm in object mode. And then we have two parts that are cylinder based. So this is the large. Let's do cylinder, and then do this one as the small cylinder. Okay, let's do the small one for now. All right, so we have this cylinder, right, and we have this modifier that is the screw modifier. Now, if we try to apply it, we actually get an error on this because we need to convert this curve into a mesh. So I'm actually going to go back into Object, Convert to Mesh, and now this is a mesh. So now we can actually fill a couple areas and then apply. So we see that we have a missing top and bottom to this, so we need to actually fill these in together. So if I go in and do a double click on this ring here and then try to fill like that, it will fill the face. So I'm going to do the same thing here. like so. All right, now I can go and take this and do our same UV method, right? Like I'd hinted at before with the previous section there, we have a section that is a top and a bottom, and then there is the area that goes around. So I'm going to use this to be able to go and follow the curve here, like that, and I'll UV mark seam, and then same kind of deal going around here. All right, and mark seam. All right, now we have the inside parts of this, right? So we need to be able to do this probably along here. So let me turn this off. So it's going to be this one. So I'm going to double click on this. And so that'll loop select the entire area there, and I'm going to mark seam. So now this should be good to go. If I select all, and you'll see that when it makes this, it's actually already in this beautiful grid pattern that we kind of like. The problem is that we need the top and the bottom, which is new, to be able to be different and cut away. So I'm going to unwrap this, and you'll see that it makes it into a scrunchy mess. So we like the top and bottom here, but we have this is the problem. So there's going to be a distinct method which we actually want to use to. All right, so like I was saying before, there's actually a section here that we had before as a perfect grid. However, this needs to be realigned back to being a perfect grid. So we need to be able to have one of these quads to be perfect. So if we do our alignment on the horizontal and vertical, for getting a perfect box, this will allow us to be able to have this as our reference. All right, reference, there we go. And I'm going to select this one. Now, this is now our active one. So if we go to wrap, follow active quad. So if we did this by itself, it's not going to actually do anything. But if I go and select that one and then select a bunch of the other ones here, this will now take all of the ones that we have assigned, and this is our active one here, and this is going to be the rest of them that it applies to. So if we UV unwrap follow, and then it'll do the rest of them, giving us that perfect grid system again, which is what we want. So now I'm just gonna select all this and then go to pack, or pack, and then just apply that. All right, so we're basically going to do that same principle on the other piece as well. So I'm going to turn off this, and then the large cylinder there. Okay, so like we had before, we have our screw modifier, which we need to convert. So we're going to object, convert mesh. Okay, and then we have our issue with the bottom here, and we're going to fill that, and the top. It actually looks like the top is actually having a different issue here. This issue seems to be one where we need to actually so it's got some interpenetrating meshes because of how the curve points were. So we actually want to try and actually delete these. So we'll delete the faces, and then we have our open face again, and then we'll just fill that way. That's probably the easiest method. So now we'll do our UVs again, and we'll select around. So it's with the control button to be able to select around here, right? And then we'll go back to UVs, mark seam, and then we'll go down here and do the same thing, wrapping around like so. UVs mark seam, and then we'll have our same location. So we want to have this on the inside, so it's going to be this one here. And we'll turn that back off again, and we will mark seam. And then from here, this has a very long grid here, which is all right, but we might need to cut this in half to be smaller so that it fits better. But we're going to run into the same issue here. So I'm actually going to find maybe like a good spot for us to actually cut it in half. So I'm going to cut it here and maybe down here as well, just to be able to get like a little bit better UV spacing. So that's going to yeah, there you go. So it's going to have like a little bit of that, the same issue here, but we still have our same solution. So we're going to take one of these. So let's say this. Let's go with this one, and we'll do our alignment with the horizontal. Align vertical. We'll select that one as our active one, and then we'll select all the rest of these in the same UV island, and then we'll unwrap, follow active quads. Okay, that one's good. All right, and we'll do the same principle for, let's say, this one. Horizontal, vertical, and vertical. All right, select that one, and then select the rest of these for UV island, and then follow quads, and now it's done. All right, and then we'll do this one. Okay, align horizontal, align horizontal. Do the same thing with the verticals. Okay, select that one, and then select the rest of it. UV unwrap, follow quads, bam. All right, so now let's take all these and pack, voila. All right, now we're going to turn most of this back on. I believe all these should be pretty much done except for this one. Okay, so it's basically the same thing on this. It's a cylinder, so we'll have that same principle. So we're gonna have this back section. This will be our like the top, right? So we need a mark seam there, and let's say this. We'll mark that. And we'll mark this one, and then this one. Okay, and then we'll need to have seam down the bottom. This is the bottom, right? Yeah, this is the bottom. Okay, let me turn that back off. All right, mark seam, and then we'll select all, and then UV unwrap, and yeah, this is pretty good. We do want to have the sections that are good, so we got this one's done and this one's done. We still have slight issues with these, so using our same method, we'll be able to get the results we want. So using our alignment method. Okay, that's now done. Oops. I'm holding down Shift, that's right, Shift, to be able to select these. Unwrap. these. Horizontal. Vertical. Select the rest of them. Okay, that one's done. Alright, let's do this one. Horizontal. Vertical. Select. Follow. Alright, that's good. Alright, and then we're just going to select all these and back. That's not the best. I wonder why why it did that. Rotation? Yeah, that's why. Okay, yeah, there's a rotation option. So if you go to pack, there is a rotation option as well as scale option. You can turn this one off if the UV islands are the right scale. So if it's like vertical or horizontal, then if you turn that off, that might give you better results. So just being able to try that out to see if it gives you a similar result. Okay, so now we basically have most of what we need. So we can probably go and actually go and combine some of these together. So let's say the top this section. Okay, so all of these pieces, we're going to go to Control J to join, and these are now all one piece. We also want to make sure that the pivot, which is now over here, we want it at the origin, which is down there by the 3D cursor. So I'm actually going to go to Object Set, Set Origin to 3D Cursor, which is at the origin. And then I'm going to combine these two pieces together. This will be now the drawer, like so. And now this is going to be one of our legs. So I'm going to join these together, like so. And this is the leg. Okay. Alright, so that's basically most of it here. So let me just get this one as our base. Okay, so now this one should be pretty close. So let's actually go back into our edit mode, right? So this is now UV unwrapped, but the problem is that it's not packed. So we need to be able to have all of these and then pack. Like so. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit too big. So we're actually going to make the UV pack a little larger. So maybe like 0.05. Yeah, it's a little better. Okay. All right. All right. So that's going to be most of it. So with this, we do need to be able to do one more thing before we actually. So we need to make sure that our high poly. Actually, what happened to our rest of our leggies? Okay, I'm just gonna copy these and move them around because I generally know where they're going to be. Okay. Okay. Control C, Control V. Move these back to about here. Okay. All right. And I'm gonna select all of the legs and join, and then we're going to make sure that our pivot is at the origin, so we're going to set origin to 3D cursor, and rename this leg again, and then put that in there. Okay. What is this? Wait a minute. That might be why. Huh. Okay. I was actually manipulating some of the high poly stuff. But okay. So I'm actually going to combine these two together. Like so. And so the only thing that we have that's separate is the drawer. We'll maybe do that as like a separate piece. So I want to have this like out here as like a separate object, but I'll probably like put it back in there. But I'm gonna UV unwrap it as one piece. So I actually need to have these together when I UV unwrap it. And I'm gonna make sure that this is set to the 3D cursor like so. And then I want to select everything, and then I want to select everything here, and then pack. Okay, so this is generally close. We need to adjust our margin. Yeah, okay, so this is looking better. Okay. So now, this is a really good pack. So this is generally the right scale, and everything is fairly uniform and in boxes and cylinders. And the spacing is fairly good between the UV islands. So this is generally a very good pack. So one thing that we can do to be able to check that is actually to go in and actually throw a UV checker on this to be able to check our UVing on that. All right, so this is going to be the next part with the UV checker. So one thing that we want to also be able to do is to be able to go and look for a UV checker texture. So with any of these will do. It's mostly just like this one is probably fine. So I have actually already gone ahead and added that. So on my material or on my low poly here, I need to have a material on here. So make sure to have that material slot by going because like this is with the modifier section going down to the material section down here. And so this is our new material, and if I go to shader, this is the material here. And if I right click and then texture, and we could add a generic texture, a procedural texture that is in Blender, but I actually want to do a image texture and bring that in, and then I will apply that to the base color and then open that up for the texture. And now that is applied to our asset, and then I'm going to go back into modeling, and I'm going to make sure this is UV. So you can see that the majority of this is like pretty good. One other thing that we kind of have is like a little bit of like some scale issues. So like one thing that we actually forgot to do in the last part of that tutorial, which I had realized with the packing algorithm, with the pack, it doesn't actually normalize the scale of the UV islands. So let's say if I go and take like this UV island, right, and this is the bottom of that section here, right? So normalize will actually, if like one of the UV islands is actually like really large, you can see that it actually will increase the number of squares on this. So this one is artificially much larger than the others. So that can be a problem. So if we actually go and select all and then use average island scale, this will actually make all of the islands the same normalized scale. Then we can go and pack our EVs together. And so now this is a better pack because we have them scaled and normalized. So now this is much better because we don't have as many issues with it. We're still having some like skewing issues like this, which we could go in and again adjust the actual sections here. So you can obviously tell like with the alignment like vertical, this will fix a lot of those issues. It's mostly a matter of the making it like pixel perfect essentially, which like takes a little bit of time. But like spending more time on it will be able to help make it better. So that'll fix more of the issues if you go in and try to align things better. So like with this, we're able to do the next section, I guess. This is now essentially UV unwrapped and pretty much good to go. So I'm going to save, and I'll see you in the next one.